Hey everyone, welcome to a special bonus episode of Locked On Lakers for a Sunday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. The Lakers are 19-21. They lose in Utah 132-125. We'll tell you why a triple-double from Anthony Davis wasn't enough. That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how or where you get your podcasts. It's always free, never behind a paywall. And Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go to hang out with over 22,000 subscribers who are all mashing the panic button after the Lakers have fallen to 11th in the conference. Andy, the play-in does not go to 11th. There is no playoff spot right now for the Lakers. Things looking an awful lot like they did at this point last year. People are not happy about it. The Lakers lose 132-125 to the Utah Jazz, who have played extremely well as of late. They're now above 500, but no LeBron James for the Lakers. He sits this one out with the ankle problem that he's been having all year long, the one that's been keeping him questionable basically for every game of the season. Rui Hachimura playing on a pitch count. Cam Reddish leaves this game after 11 minutes. He was barely available. Obviously, Gabe Vincent's still not there, so the Lakers' revolving door lineup continues. Andy, I mentioned that in the open that a triple double from Anthony Davis wasn't enough, and it's crazy to say it for a guy who had 15 rebounds, 11 assists, a steal, and 4 blocks. There was a big chunk of what they needed missing tonight for the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's unfortunate when somebody who did a lot of really good things in this game, like Anthony Davis.
Unfortunate, kind of unfair, even.
Yeah, I mean, his passing out of double teams was really good tonight. He obviously hit the glass. He made some really good defensive plays, but, he missed some very makeable shots in this game. And it's the second game in a row, actually, where Anthony Davis has struggled offensively, which is extremely unusual for him this season. If you are looking for, I guess, a positive spin on this performance in particular with just Anthony Davis, it's that he continues to really conduct himself like the franchise face for the Lakers. Afterwards, he said, quote, "Everyone did their job except me. I didn't do my job. Obviously, Bron's out. Everyone has to step up. Those guys did except myself. So this one's on me."
Right. 15 of 20, we missed it, 15 of 21 from the floor for AD. So he had 15 points, 5 of 6 from the line, but he missed 16 of 21 shots, which is obviously difficult for the offense to absorb when LeBron doesn't play.
Yeah. And again, like it is, as you noted, tough, I guess, sort of like a tough way to think about somebody doing an awful lot while they were out there, and not necessarily even playing badly as much as results badly, but results matter. Yeah. And it's not like all of these shots AD was missing were extremely well guarded or like shots that he was forced to take or anything like that. A lot of these were shots Anthony Davis normally makes and frankly tonight needed to make.
Yeah, look, I mean, the Lakers got some support for on this night where LeBron, obviously not there and just short guys. Rui in short minutes could only play the 19, and Darvin talked about before and after the game that his minutes were limited. Now, what that means going forward is something that we're going to get into over the course of the week, because I know broadly, you in particular, Andy, are still upset with how much he's able to play on a night-to-night basis.
I just feel like unless he is perpetually on a minutes count because he's perpetually returning from injury, let the man #free Rui. Like,
yeah, I mean, really in tonight, Saturday it was the issue was the pitch count, but and he has been sort of perpetually injured, but it gets to how just scattershot this season has been. But I mean, he was very good in his 19 minutes. He had 17 points, played very aggressive. Darvin had nothing but praise for him after the game.
Let me just say this really quickly. Just
sure.
I don't want to get sidetracked on Rui's minutes because it was not the story of this game. I definitely want to make sure we end up talking a little bit about D'Angelo Russell.
Yes,
because
for sure.
He was phenomenal. But what can make this feel confusing at times with Rui, or frustrating, or as you mentioned, even everything feeling scattershot, is Cam Reddish, to the best of my knowledge, has not been on minutes restrictions, yet keeps having to leave games because he's re-aggravating stuff. So at some point, either Reddish needs to just sit a few games, get himself right, or again, hashtag free Rui. I know not all injuries are the same.
Right. Not, and Darvin is not creating the minutes restrictions. That's the training staff. But you're right. I mean, like, would it be better if Reddish? It is more disruptive for Reddish to play. I think it was 8 minutes the other night and 11 minutes tonight, and then have to leave.
Yeah.
Than it is for him not to play at all.
No. I want to make it clear. The minutes restrictions that are non-medically related to Rui, that's not on Darvin, that's on the staff. I want to make that clear. I'm just saying, when it seems to be so inconsistent that one guy who's not on a minutes restriction seemingly can have to leave games because he's re-aggravating stuff, but another guy comes back and is on a minutes restriction, especially it becomes frustrating when he's playing well. But again, I don't want to get sidetracked on that.
Right. So, the support, again, it was there. Christian Wood played well in his 22 minutes, 15 points, 9 rebounds, 5 of 10 from the floor, hit 2 of 6 3-pointers. Austin Reeves, before he fouled out, 19 points, 7 of 8 from the floor. So certainly very efficient there. And D'Angelo Russell, as you mentioned, was really the star of this game from beginning to end for the Lakers. We talked after Thursday's game, I should say, the Phoenix game, like, the Lakers needed, the part of the problem with Reeves, for example, this year is he's not had one of those games where when the star A and star B were not either available or fully functioning or just playing great. He hasn't gone off for one of those, nuclear kind of games like Russell did tonight. 39 points, 15 to 26 from the floor, 6 and 11 from 3-point range, 8 assists. I mean, he was great, and was hyper aggressive and confident, I think, from the start. That was the kind of game, that the Lakers needed.
And he started in place of LeBron, by the way.
Yes. And it's one of those deals, and I get why. And there was a lot of, granted, there is no lineup that Darvin could put out that would make people happy at this point. But why is D'Lo, why he's going small against Utah and they're going to get killed on the glass, and sometimes they did or whatever. But the reason is, and it was the same reason that Skylar Mays played a little bit, played 10 minutes in the game, really sucking up some minutes that I guess could have gone in the first half, went to Max Christie. Clearly, they've reached a point where they feel like they need 2 ball handlers on the floor at all times. And if LeBron can't play, you have to rotate through Russell, Reeves, and in this case, Mays. Like, it just, the offense has gotten so dysfunctional otherwise. I think this is where they're going. And like, you can argue with that. You can argue with that, logic, or you can argue with the decision making there. But it really just gets to how hard it has been to come up with something that feels coherent, because they were like, for example, they were talking about D'Lo probably having played himself back into the starting lineup, because if you look at the last few games, he actually has played pretty well again. And this is a guy who's been a starting point guard for his entire career. And the idea that he'd play himself back in the starting lineup makes sense. And I happen to think it's probably a good idea and have thought that for a little bit. But it again becomes a large change to what they're doing. They can't settle on anything. And in a vacuum, Andy, it's like, okay, well, it's because on one night this guy's out and then this guy misses 3 games and that. But it's just like, yes, and to quote our friend Darius Soriano, yes and no. Like, there's some of it's circumstance and some of it's just they can't get decision making and performances to line up in a way that allow them to play the same lineup with repetition.
Well, they also can't get two-way decision making to line up, because the obvious concern, and I think with some reason, is if you go back to D'Lo and Reeves as the starting backcourt, they're going to get picked on defensively to the point where you're going to be basically giving up all the points you score. And look, you might make an argument that this team has been working so hard defensively to try to make up for the fact that they can't score, that maybe you need to just give them a bit more of a break with a functional offense. Like, just from a sort of spiritual, mental level, like maybe there is an argument that could be made there, and if you do that, then I think also you have to consider what one does with Taurean Prince, because I think at that point you may have to consider starting Vanderbilt instead of Prince.
I think if you're going to start Reeves and
D'Lo.
Russell again, you have to start Vanderbilt.
Right.
I think you just have to.
Because also too, at that point, you've got two scorers alongside LeBron and Andy, and assuming Reeves ever gets his shot consistently back from outside, 2 3-point shooters.
Right.
So
and Reeves, part of the reason Reeves and Russell didn't work at the beginning of the year was Vanderbilt wasn't available. So maybe it was part of the combination, but it was also Reeves was just terrible. There isn't a lineup that was working with Austin Reeves in it. All the lineups where he played. And while, you and I talked a lot after Thursday's show, it's like Reeves has not hit the level that I think the Lakers hoped he would and frankly need him to. And
I tweeted about this
extensively this
Friday
weekend
at Cam Brothers, and I thought it did provoke a very interesting reaction. And, to make it clear, Austin Reeves is a good player. But I think the Lakers thought he was readier for the third role on a contending team than he actually is.
Or maybe underestimated the growing pains.
It's not entirely about Reeves. To some degree, there's a trickle-down effect from other guys either underperforming or not being available. But part of what you look for in a third guy on a contending team is their ability to semi-regularly step up in those moments to offset what you don't have. That's part of what makes you the third guy. And Reeves just isn't at that level, which, by the way, 95% of the league can't do that.
Yeah, maybe even more. And
you have to be damn good to do that.
So, but the reason that you go back to that lineup, the reason the lineup wasn't working is Reeves was just so bad. Like I said, there were no lineups with Reeves in them that worked because Reeves was the problem. He has since, you can argue about the level and is it high enough and this and that and whatever. But, he, broadly speaking, he has turned it around since then.
He was unplayable before.
Right. He is playing much better now than he was then. And so, there's a good chance that at the very least, some of the results with that as a starting lineup would work. And I want to talk about this more this week. And obviously Monday night will be, we're going to take Sunday off. We got some family stuff going on.
Sunday into Monday.
And so, our next show will be after Monday night's game against Oklahoma City. I want to talk this week just about that situation they're in, because on the one hand, you're forced to change lineups a lot. On the other hand, and then you're also kind of in a situation where, you want to respond to what's working, but that in and of itself, that process continues to force you to do things slightly differently every game. And I feel like the Lakers are getting closer to at least establishing who is going to play, if not the order. But it's just
they didn't play terribly tonight at all.
I thought they played fine. Again, they're missing guys. Utah is the hottest team. I realize they're just a game over 500 now, but they've been the hottest team in the NBA, over the last couple of weeks. The Lakers were shorthanded. They were not, LeBron wasn't available, and they, even the guys who were available, like Hachimura, they couldn't play 32 minutes or whatever.
And then Reddish missed the second half of the game.
Right.
Like and they managed to keep the game tight despite AD missing 16 shots.
Right. And Utah, by the way, going to the line 39 times.
Yeah. Side note on that. I'm not looking to complain about it, whatever, but Austin Reeves ended up fouling out in this game. His fourth foul, which was Jordan Clarkson driving against him, which Reeves was really unhappy about that one. And during the broadcast, Stu Lance and Billy Mack wondered whether or not they might challenge it. They should have challenged that one. If anything, that was more of an an off-arm foul on Clarkson than anything Reeves did.
The one that fouled him out was a good call. It was a block on Reeves that was appropriately called. So
yeah, absolutely.
But it's just, the 39 free throws is interesting too, because a lot of people, and this is something else to talk about this week, and we'll wrap it up after this, but it's a lot of what people have been talking about is how terrible the 3-point defense has been, and that's true. But one of the things that the Lakers have done to compensate for that is that they foul very little. They keep teams off the line. They're once again one of the best teams in the league at doing that. And so, one trades off for another. Utah was 12 of 37 from 3-point range, and they missed some open ones, but every team does. And I just broadly speaking, it's like 3-point defense is one of those things where 3-pointers are really demoralizing, especially when your team is struggling offensively. But if the ultimate result is you're 10th in the league or 9th in the league or 12th in the league or 11th in defensive rating, there are a lot of ways to do it. What the Lakers have to be able to do is either defend the three or keep teams off the line or whatever. But we saw a little bit of that trade-off on Saturday. They're in a really difficult position with a really hard schedule coming up, home heavy as it is, and then a tough road trip. This early month January stretch, Andy, I think it's fair to say, has not gone in the way that they would like.
No.
Anyway, lots more to talk about over the course of the week. Again, we'll be taking Sunday into Monday off. Next show will be Tuesday, following the Oklahoma City game. But first, this.
That Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Jace Medical, and we all use sports to escape from the realities of real life, which can be daunting and crazy, but unfortunately, real life never goes away for good. And according to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics like amoxicillin right in the middle of the worst flu season in over a decade. And we've seen over the last few years what can happen when the supply chain gets bogged down for whatever reason with whatever product. It's really stressful. Thankfully, Jace Medical can help alleviate that stress. The Jace case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, among others. These are medicines that could be really handy to have if your doctor wanted to prescribe them, but access, for whatever reason, not readily available. Visit jacemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. Go to jacemedical.com. Use the code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order.
Locked On Lakers also brought to you by FanDuel. Andy, the playoffs are here. The playoffs, man. The playoffs. And you got the Rams in Detroit. I'm very excited about Sunday's game with I think they're going to win. New customers right now at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, you get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Again, that's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there's so many different ways to bet. You got live same-game parlays. You can find bets in the new Explore tab, make parlays in the Parlay Hub. That is the best way to find popular parlays and more. There's more ways to do it, just endless ways to do this stuff over at FanDuel. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet a layup. Again, FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. Everyone have a great Martin Luther King Day holiday. We'll see you after the Oklahoma City game.